education and information about my walks, about my travels throughout my journey called life. I like to extend these honors to you, because when you're honoring man and woman, you're honoring yourself. Let me give all acknowledgement and adoration to the Most High, Allah, and extend that same love, courtesy, and acknowledgement to all of his prophets, his messengers. Peace to all of you, brothers and sisters, and grand rising to the indigenous people of the Americas. I want to talk a little bit about notes that are payable to the maker. I'm gonna read some things, and I'm gonna discuss some things with you concerning this topic. Okay, a very important topic. So bear with me. Okay. Now I've actually used this document in one of my prior seminars, but the name of this document is called Notes Payable to the Maker. Okay. HW Arendt is ARANT, right? So we're gonna read a little bit of this, right? He brings us some very important points, some very important topics concerning notes payable to the maker. So it says an instrument in which the maker promises to pay money to himself obviously can be a promissory note, only in a formal sense. Nevertheless, such instruments, frequently called self-notes, are now quite common and have given rise to some very interesting legal questions. When does a formal promissory note first become a legal promissory note, right? It says, does it, upon completion, necessarily become a negotiable promissory note? Are words of negotiability usually found on the face of such instrument necessarily to the maker's ability to complete them? May the holder of such an instrument unendorsed recover against the maker as upon a promissory note? Is the taker of such a note from the maker payee a purchaser or a payee? So it's asking you, so when somebody takes a note from you, are they the purchaser of the note, or are they the payee of the note? Does the payee endorsement preclude him as the maker from setting up an ordinary defense against the person to whom he delivers it? These and other questions to which this awkward instrument has given rise seems to justify its analysts, particularly in the view of facts that none of the standard works upon negotiable instruments has crucially discussed it. Now, so we're going to discuss this. Now, he's going to go into some power, right? Listen to this. The definition of promissory note is a simple and usually not difficult application. It says the general requisites of negotiability applicable to all instruments are well understood, and scrutiny and sincerely, right, stated in the first section of the negotiable instrument law. It says equally clear and necessarily, which much repetition of idea, the act sets forth the requisites of negotiable, or it says a negotiation, right? So it says an instrument to be negotiable must confer or conform to the following requirements. It must be in writing and signed by the maker or the drawer, right? And it must contain an unconditional promise or in order to pay a fixed sums of money, certain in money. So when you have an instrument, it got to be signed by the one who making it. It's meaning that a negotiable instrument is not just an instrument you feel and you say, oh, this is a negotiable instrument. A negotiable instrument becomes a negotiable instrument when the maker who signs it makes it into a negotiable instrument. So when you understand how negotiable instruments work, you got to understand any instrument you receive is negotiable. But in order to negotiate the instrument, the one receiving it will have to follow the rules of negotiation. If in fact, what is this thing? Why is this thing trying to get in my face? I can't have that thing get in my face. I'm trying to go face detected. That's good. But you're trying to put something else on my face. I don't even know how you got on here. Oh, I got the wrong thing. I got the beauty thing. I thought it was just okay, right here. All right, uh so it says it must be payable on demand or at a fixed time, right? So when an instrument, first of all, it got to be signed, right? Because you can't use something that you're not in possession of. So when you receive an instrument, the first thing you should do is sign and date it. Right. Because now the way you sign, now I'm not telling you everything. So don't be like, oh, you said just sign it. I ain't tell you how to sign it. I just said that it must be signed. Now you got to figure out the rules to the game. You know what I'm saying? Don't just take what I'm saying face value and just run with it. I'm just on here just speaking on my walks and my travels throughout my journey called life. Don't forget, I'm just, giving giving education and information, not legal advice. You see what I'm saying? I'm not advising you to do any of this. I'm just sharing information with you. So just listen. It's free to listen. Just open your ears up and just hear me out, And at the end, you can come up and draw your own damn conclusions. You know what I'm saying? But please, just make sure y'all tap the screen, share the screen, because this finna get deep right here. Man, I gotta get this thing. This thing, man, we want to take it off and start over. Like for real. Dang. It's crazy how I cover it up. How I switch it, turn around. I'm do that. We got me messed up. Flip the camera. There we go. Oh, now it's on me. No, I want y'all to see the screen. I gotta flip it back. God dang. I want y'all to see the screen so y'all can see what I got on the screen. All right, so I'm just gonna have to tilt myself to the side because I ain't with all that. Putting all that stuff on my face and stuff. But anyway, so check it out, right? So it must be payable to the bearer or to the order, right? It must be payable either on demand or at a fixed or determinable time. So, you know what I'm saying? It got to be payable at a certain fixed time, right? And it must be made payable to the bearer or either payable to the order, right? And then it says where the instrument is addressed to a drawee, he must be named or otherwise indicated therein with reasonable certainty, negotiable instrument. So it's saying when the instrument is addressed to a drawee. So, like, say for instance, if you was going to send that to your bank, you know what I'm saying? You got to identify the bank in the order. So it's saying that he must be identified with certainty, right? So you gotta actually identify the bank as the drawee. So you say, you're gonna pay this instrument by drawing it on Bank of America as my drawee to make this or fulfill his obligation. You see what I'm saying? So it's basically saying you gotta identify him with reasonable certainty, right? Now check this out. Let's keep going. Let me pull this over, y'all. We're gonna get busy today. Now don't start playing with the screen. Now let me tone it down a little bit. Talk about a little bit. Y'all have to excuse the screen. I didn't know nothing about this beauty stuff, so y'all know Brother Isaiah ain't no diddy, yo, no diddy. Straight up. Promissory note. It says the 8th section of negotiable instrument law seems to suggest that the validity as an order promissory note of an instrument drawn by the maker payable to his own order. But it is clear that this section must be read in the light of the limitations in section 184 that a note drawn to the maker's own order is not complete until endorsed by him. Yet the courts, because, check it out, yet the courts, where was I at? Yet the courts, because they have seen not to have appreciated clear function of the maker's endorsement of such paper, have assumed that since the instrument in form complies with section 1, it becomes a promissory note and a negotiable instrument when endorsed, because it is payable to the order on its face. So as long as the instrument on its face is payable to the order of the one who's making the instrument out, he can endorse his name on the back of it as the one that's to cash the check in. Because that ain't, when you take a check to your bank, ain't your name, ain't it payable to you on the front? And don't you got to sign your name on the back to cash it in with the bank? Well, ain't that the same way all negotiable instruments work, yo? They all work the same way. So when you understand how the endorsement goes, then it makes sense. That's why I'm sharing this with you, because I'm your brother. Like, y'all should be tapping that screen, giving me so much love. I ain't asking you to give me a dime. All I'm asking you to do is show me love like I'm showing you love. Tap that screen. I don't care who it is. Just share it with them. Say, hey, man, y'all need to hear this. Just share it. Show me some love sometime. You know what I'm saying? Since I'm always showing, show back, baby. Show the love back. That's all I ask. Tap the screen, like, give me a like. Should have 100,000 likes, man. Come on now. And people don't even understand what's being provided on this live right here. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't worried about no TikTok or none of that, because everything that I'm doing is in compliance with, with what's right. I'm not misleading anybody about what I'm saying. I'm actually sharing educational, resourceful information with the people in order to enlighten them about things that I've learned and that I want you to actually learn that can benefit you like it's benefited me. So me sharing this information with you is me showing you my appreciation of how much I appreciate y'all. When y'all tap into my lives and y'all show me love, I want to show that love back in exchange by providing you with resourceful information, things that you can study, that you can use, that can help you better your understanding of this conquest that we're actually in right now. So it's all about each one teach one. We should all be reaching each other and teaching each other, because they ain't teaching us right. So we definitely know we can't depend on them to teach us. So we got to teach ourselves. We got to educate ourselves. It's time to do for self. And that's what doing for self is all about. Others going to benefit. I do this first for my people, meaning the indigenous people that have been manipulated and taken advantage of. I'm not prejudiced. I don't disregard other people, because I know that they've done it to us all. You know what I'm saying? So this is initially for me and my people first, but it's open to all individuals who want it, just like Jesus came, but not lost, but to the lost sheep of Israel. But his message was eternal to all mankind. See, so everybody can benefit from the message that Jesus brought, but initially he brought that for a specific people. He said, I come not but for the lost sheep of Israel. See, so we got to understand that how, when a prophet is raised up, or a messenger or somebody is raised up amongst the people, he's raised up amongst that people directly to liberate those people directly from their suffering. You know what I'm saying? So that's what this is right here. We've suffered for a long time as a people, that have not been recognized as a nation that is ancient. You see what I'm saying? And they're not giving us recognition. They've taken us outside of statehood and put us as stateless individuals and under false identities and misnomers. So it was destined that we rise up and that we become a nation, and that we shall rise again as this mighty, powerful nation that was in control of everything at one power. I can tell you right now, a lot of our people are kind of messed up now. They got a lot going on where you got people, men and women, and all this whole stuff that went on because we didn't let some people get control over these parts of the land. And this is what they have created with their control and their dominance over the territory. So, we got to actually, once we get ourselves together back where we need to be and we start doing what we can fix all of this madness that's going on, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the laws that the United States has passed actually violate our our customary practices from our ancestors. Our ancestors didn't practice none of that. They didn't practice homosexuality. They didn't do none of those things that went against. We didn't do none of those things. You were banned from the tribe, or if you did certain things, you know what I'm saying? These practices came from them. And then they create a system where they legalize it to where they make it legal in their system. And then you think that it's right because it's legal, but legal don't necessarily mean something is right. It's legal for them to kidnap and take your child. If you consent to it, they can come and just take your child. But because that's legal, does it make it right? No, it doesn't make it right. So you got to know the difference between just because some people think because all this stuff is legal, like they'll tell you, they be like, boy, that's the law. You got to have a license, like my mom and them laws tell me like that. Oh, that's legal, this and that. Well, it's legal for you to, go up there and inject yourself with poison. It's legal for you to do a lot of different things that you can legally do. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's right. You know what I'm saying? You can go and it's legal to change your sex parts. You know what I'm saying? Does it make it right? That's all I'm saying. But let's get to it, right? So it says, so if the above quote merely codified what was obviously and well settled by the case, namely that a written promise by one person to another person is essential to the existence of a promissory note, and that the promisor and the promisee in such a promise must be different human beings, all right, capable of having legal relationships with each other. All right, the requirement is satisfied where A promises in writing to pay B. In the particular respects, negotiable and non-negotiable promissory notes are judged by the same measure. Neither can be valid unless the promise is to pay someone other than the maker, right? So it says that it's not valid unless the note specifies that it's paying somebody other than the maker, right? So in order for a promissory note to be negotiable, among other things, it must appear from the form of the instrument that the maker intended, from the form of the instrument that the maker is the one signing it, that's going to make this into a negotiable instrument. He's the maker, all right? The one signing and making up the instrument to make it negotiable, okay? The maker, all right? So when the maker receives the instrument, signs it to adopt it or to add to it anything that he would like to add to it to negotiate it, he would sign it, date it to show his possession, and then he would add any type of writing to it in order to negotiate that instrument to make it negotiable. Now it says in order for the promissory note, right, may be negotiable amongst other things, it may appear from the form of the instrument that the maker intended or expected it might pass out of the hands of the promisee name. It says written words evidencing this intent are all that the phrase words of negotiability suggests, and they are all that the law requires. It says this requirement is by no means necessary in the sense that it is required in order that negotiable instruments may circulate as a substitute for money, as is shown by the fact that prior to the adoption of negotiable instrument laws, there was no statutes under which promissory notes were negotiable, whether expressed to be so or not, it is clear that the unconditional promise to pay a certain sums in money at a fixed or determinable future time can circulate as a substitute for money without words of negotiability, in as much as merchants would have no difficulty in precisely appraising its worth. Okay, so they letting you know just by you saying paid to the order of the United States, the total paid balance of $255 in interest to be payable on January the 1st, that's negotiable. You see what I'm saying? That's what it's saying. All right. It is always operated as a substitute for money. A order to pay is a substitute for money. A order to pay is a substitute for money. Okay, let's keep going. It says, we have no difficulty in precisely appraising its worth. The presence of the required words of negotiability does not determine the degree to which commercial paper circulates as a substitute for money, nor is it desirably affected thereby, provided the purchaser in due course knows that no defense of the maker can be asserted against him, as was the case before the adoption, right? And then it gives you like at the bottom of the document, got like footnotes that kind of like you can read it, and then it gives you a better understanding of like what it's talking about. This is a very great read. Like lately, that's what I've been showing to people, because I believe that if I could give you something, it's education. Education is something that's free. And all it requires is for you to apply yourself to it, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. Me showing you this document and just reading over and breaking it down, giving my explanation, is me sharing myself with you, giving you my understanding to help you better understand it before you even read it, because you can just go pull it up online. You already know the name of the document because I put it on the screen. You know what I'm saying? So you can just Google that phrase and it'll pop up for you, right? And then you can read this exact same document. You can study it. You can look up the case laws that's pertaining to it and anything that it got in it, in order to get a better understanding of what a negotiable instrument is and your rights to negotiate negotiable instruments. So this video should be viral because this document is very powerful. Look, check this out. Let's keep going. I ain't gonna read the man is powerful, man. I'm telling you, it got all the case what's names in it, right? All right, so unnegotiable instruments in law in a few states where words of negotiability were made uncertain by statute. Why then are words of negotiability required? No reason is apparent other than the generally prevailing notion that the maker defenses should not be destroyed in the interest of business conveyance unless he consents that the instrument may circulate in commercial channels. It says this appears to be ample justification for the requirements, and at any rate, no case has been found since the adoption of negotiable instrument law where an instrument was held to be negotiable when made payable by the maker to another person, unless the maker's language was believed to have shown that he contemplated, that the instrument might pass out of the payee's hands, right? It says, is a requirement that the instrument shall contain words of negotiability, normally satisfied on its face, applicable to unendorsed